Rivals. People or things competing for the same objective, for superiority in the same field of activity. Mob tonight is rivals. We have Coach Bo, Brant Feinbaum. You know the drill. I'm your host, the Chad Bullitt. Before we get started, guys, go ahead and give us a like. And throughout this video, comment on the 5 questions. We want to hear from you too. So let's get started here with question number 1. Texas Longhorns rising. Texas has officially cracked the top 5 in national program rankings after a historic 3-year run following their 2025 season, where they held the number 1 AP preseason ranking. They are entering the 2026 season as a premier SEC power, led by rising star quarterback Arch Manning. The Longhorns reloaded with a top 10 recruiting class featuring multiple 5-star prospects. What are your thoughts on Texas being the number 1 ranked team going into this season, and what does that tell the rest of the schools in the SEC? Brant, you secretly won the coin toss. We will start with you. Your time starts now.
So, first of all, rankings before the first 7 weeks of the season are all stupid anyway. I don't care who's number 1. I don't care who's number 10. I don't care who's number 25. It doesn't matter to me, because what's going to show in the rankings is how you play on the field. And I think preseason rankings are the dumbest thing ever. I think the AP poll should cease to exist because it is the most false information poll I've ever looked at in my entire life. I think the college football playoff rankings are all that matters. So I think you should pretty much just go unranked until the college football playoff rankings come out. Let them decide, kind of where you started out in those kinds of rankings. Brings us all back to the steps of, telling the rest of the SEC, yeah, Texas is going to be good. I don't doubt that for a second. If Arch stays consistent and his inconsistencies don't come back to haunt him in the first part of the season, Texas is going to be a dominant team. Everybody knows that. I think you got to more so worry about that as much as you have to worry about everything else. But nevertheless, the rankings. I don't know why we don't make it easy and just do however the teams finished last year. That should be the first rankings. Okay, it doesn't matter. It's not like they're going to, if they earn the right to stay there all season, they earn the right to stay there all season. But if they don't, they're going to weed themselves out. I don't know why we feel we have the need to make these new rankings every year. I do know the need. It's for more money and it's for more people to talk about it. But, it makes no sense to me. It's stupid. It's dumb. What was it when Ohio State won the Natty 2 years ago, Bo? They started out at, I think, 12 or 13 or something like that. They ended up going and win the national championship. They don't make any sense, so I don't know why we continue to throw them out there like they do. I think everybody can kind of get behind us on that and agree. As far as Texas goes, man, they're going to be dominant. Nobody is not saying they won't be. I just think that you have to worry about what Nick Saban always preaches: rat poison. That's always going to come into the picture. You've got to worry about, looking at the news, those players, social media, man, it's all over the place. And if you're like Kurt Signetti and you can get a team to kind of overlook those things and band together as a team, man, you can win. And I think Texas might succumb to that, and I hope they don't.
Yeah. You had some really good points. I liked your stupid rankings because I think preseason rankings are absolutely atrocious. I don't think there might have been one time in my lifespan where 1 and 2 stayed the same for preseason. That was 2004 with Oklahoma and USC. I might be the only time that's ever happened. I agree. CFP rankings, honestly, it's all that matters, but sometimes those CFP rankings, I think, are kind of swayed by the AP because they mirror the AP so much. I like the fact that you threw in weed themselves out as far as teams throughout the year, the ones that are the pretenders from the contenders, and also liked your point about the rat poison with Nick Saban. So with all being said, a good start for Brant. He got 4 points that round. Coach Bo, your time starts now.
First of all, let me start off by saying that I absolutely despise the talking heads in the media because they do nothing but push narratives for conferences. The SEC has theirs that push the narrative for their conferences, and of course the Big Ten for theirs. And the last people that I'm going to listen to drive a narrative on anybody in the SEC is, there's been a lot that's come out in the last couple of weeks about Joel Klatt and Colin Cowherd. I mean, they're shills for the Big Ten. They're uh, in cahoots with the Big Ten, so naturally, everything that they have to say is going to be to promote the Big Ten and to to try to discredit the SEC. But the media drives the narrative on that, and they do that for clicks, they do it for ratings, and they do it so that you'll actually listen. Not that they actually have a deep, substantive college football discussion like we have here on this show. They're looking for clicks, they're looking for ratings, they're looking for advertisers. If you really want to know what's going on, definitely don't look at the AP poll. The AP poll's crap. The coaches polls crap. I was told by a coach at a clinic that the head coaches don't even fill those out. Some GA fills those out. Don't look at that. I don't even look at the playoff polls because the playoff polls gave us not one but two G5 teams in the college football playoff, and you had three very worthy power four teams in BYU, Notre Dame, and Vanderbilt who were left out, and two of those three I'd have been fine with any two of those three getting in. But if you really want to know what's going on, look at the Vegas power ratings. I've said this before on this show. Phil Steele puts them out every week on his page, and you can actually see the actual strengths of the team and see what the boys in the desert think. Because ultimately, when it comes down to it, you just follow the money. The money will tell you who's real and who's not. Also, I think everybody was a year early on tech.
Hey, what the money tells me is your time's up. So, yeah, it's a tough break, man. It's a tough break. Rules are rules. You had some really good points. Narratives being pushed. Media does it for clicks. We all know that's a fact. I love that you put that the AP poll was crap and that GAs mostly fill it out. That's big. The coaches don't even look at this because they know it's crap. And then I like that I really like Phil Steele. I love reading his stuff. So I gave you a point for that one. So a good start. We got a 4-4 game going on right here, boys. All right, so right now what we want to do is introduce a new segment that we're going to have starting Mondays, and that is called Coach Talk with Coach Bo. I'm going to unmute you just for a second. We'll kind of talk about it. Actually, your first show, Coach Bo will be talking about coaches on the first episode, the coaching carousel. Bo, you want to speak maybe just a minute on this?
Oh yeah, this is my wheelhouse right here. I love talking about coaching. I love talking about the impact of coaching because I firmly believe in no sport does the coaching matter more than in football. And we've really seen that the last couple of years with the SEC. The SEC by far still has the most talent, but doesn't have the rings. Why? Because the coaching hasn't been good. Hasn't been nearly up to par because the SEC has always been a recruiting league. Well, now it's not just about recruiting. You have to be able to coach and develop and plug your holes through the portal. So I really like talking about the good coaches and the coaches that are really in tune with what I call modern college football, and the impacts that they're going to have on their programs this coming up fall and moving forward.
All right, there we go. So Monday mornings, Coach Bo's Coach Talk. Be real fun to get into. And then a little bit later, we got a Feinbaum segment. No, he doesn't have his own call-in show where he stirs the pot. It's a lot better than that. We'll get into that shortly. All right, let's get into question number 2, which kind of gets into Bo's Coach Talk. Over a third of the SEC will have new coaches in 2026, including John Sumrall out of Florida, Alex Golish out of Auburn, and Will Stein out of Kentucky. All right. Being that these 3 teams finished the bottom tier of the SEC in 2025, set the expectations for these 3 coaches in 2026. All right, Bo, you get to go first, and your time starts now.
Well, year one is all about the foundation. It's all about putting that foundation down and setting up your program for the future. I don't think the winning is as important in the first year. Although in modern college football, there's a totally different take now, especially with what Kurt Cignetti did. First year takes Indiana to the playoffs, second year wins the Natty. I think now modern college football is more ready-made to be successful immediately. But I look at a team like Florida, they're loaded. They've got a ton of talent. of those 3 teams mentioned, if there's one team that I could see being around that 9, maybe possibly 10-win mark and possibly making a playoff, would be the Florida Gators. They are loaded for bear. They've got a ton of talent. They had a ton of talent last year. Billy Napier just absolutely one of the worst coaching jobs in the country. And I don't say that lightly. When half of your starting roster has an NFL draft grade and you can't even qualify for a bowl game, you did a crap job. Auburn needs some toughness. Now, any guy who's as an infant and their family can escape the Soviet Union and come to the United States and integrate here into America, that is a guy that I think will instill that toughness in that Auburn program that they need. And if the people outside of Auburn, the money people, will leave him alone, Alex Golish could be very successful at Auburn because I think he's a no-nonsense kind of guy, and that's exactly what Auburn needs. Now, Kentucky is a total wild card because here they got the Minchie kid who was a very highly touted quarterback transfer from Notre Dame, and you got Will Stein. Granted, it's his first attempt as a head coach, but he was a very competent offensive coordinator at Oregon. We've seen the offenses they've had in him in the time that he was there and working with Dante Moore and others on that offensive staff. But when I look at those
Ooh. You're muted. Time was up, buddy. Sorry. Don't look at me like that. Rules are rules. All right. So I thought you had 4 very great points. First year is nothing but the foundation. With these 3 schools, you got to change something because it hadn't been working in the past few years. And I like the fact that you said that, it's kind of heavily set up for winning now, college football, and you brought up Indiana. That was a great point. The Florida point, they are loaded. They have a lot of great players, and Napier was a piss-poor coach for them. The record showed it. And I like the fact that you brought the fact that Golish came from Russia, escaped from Russia, over Russia and Ukraine. Toughness, there ain't no doubt about that. So 4 for Bo on that. Brant Feinbaum, your time starts now.
I think obviously it's going to be different for each school. So I think Auburn, for a successful season, especially going into this year, number one, make a bowl game. Haven't made a bowl game in 3 years. I think it's time you made 1 bowl game in 3 years. Sorry. I think it's time you kind of step that crap back up, man. I mean, Auburn's got great talent. They can recruit real well there. I mean, they got to start winning football games. Or you can do what the old Auburn coaches do, is just beat Alabama. You beat Alabama, you're automatically loved. So I think that's going to play a big part in it as well. When it comes to Kentucky, look, I've said this time and time again, I think Will Stein is the guy, and I think it's exactly what Kentucky needs, because Kentucky needs a culture shock. Kentucky needs to, be beat down back to the base and build their way back up. And I think Will Stein would be a perfect guy for that. I think he's a high-flying guy that likes to run the football occasionally, but I think what he can do at Kentucky with those athletes, they can get out there on the bluegrass, man, is pretty crazy, and I think it'll show. And I'm glad we're playing them early because I don't want him to figure it out. Now, I feel like it's really tricky for Florida. I think the big thing you got to do is make the swamp great again. Not to quote Donald Trump, but make the swamp great again. The swamp has lost its luster. Nobody's scared to go play in Gainesville anymore. I think it's just because the fans didn't believe in Napier, and I think it showed. Not only did the fans not believe in him, the front office didn't believe in him. And I think it's a big deal when it comes to the University of Florida playing football down there, man. You got to be mean. You got to hit. You got to want to win. And I think John Summerall is the perfect guy to bring that kind of mindset back and instill it in those Florida guys. We talked about it a couple of shows ago with the whole you got to earn the logo thing. And I think that is a great foundation and a great start to what he could possibly build there. But, man, if anybody's going to be dangerous, it's got to be Florida. You want to talk about loaded. They are crazy loaded with talent. And even with the departure of Billy Napier, you would have thought that talent would kind of dismiss a little, but it really hasn't. And, John.
Well, time's up. I really, yeah. Drink your water there. I really liked your points on Auburn. Make a bowl game. That would be huge for this program at this point. Baby steps. Kentucky, culture shock. I think that's a very good point with Kentucky. And then with Florida, I love, I'm not going to quote what you said, but, make the swamp relevant, because back in the day, not too long ago, the swamp was like the most dangerous place to play. You did not want to go to the Swamp when they had any resemblance of a good football team, and they have not been great in forever. So I think those are 3 good points on that. So I gave you 3 for that. And I'm going to unmute you right now because we're going to get into Brant's new show, Brant's Breaking Point. We'll be discussing the upcoming NFL Combine. Brant, what you want to say about this?
It'll be a good time, man. It'll be a good time to sit back, relax, and discuss some opinions. Maybe if we're lucky, we'll get some more death threats from Notre Dame fans, and it'll all carry on and it'll all go well. But I mean, it's just gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a good time to be able to sit back and pretty much just talk about what we want to talk about, not have to worry about anything like that, and to worry about Bo beating me on Rivals or anything like that. It'll be real nice, real chill. Come on by, have your coffee, have some donuts or something, take a listen. Just get a young person's point of view on these kinds of things. 26 is still young, I think. So, get a little young person's views on these points, and don't listen to Chad.
You're
and
real
Bo
close
anymore.
to getting -1 there, bud.
Real
close.
They're real old, so they have different worldviews than we do in our age. So, it's we'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Well, I'm going to leave you unmuted because you're going to get the first crack at this question. What players are on your radar, and who are your dark horses for this year's Combine? And your time starts now.
So I do have a couple of players that I think are going to be huge when it comes to NFL talent. And obviously everybody's going to go to your basics. But, I mean, if I couldn't help but notice the trajectory and the growth from Caden Proctor. Left tackle out of Alabama. I mean, he started out his freshman year. I thought he was probably one of the worst offensive linemen I've ever watched in my entire life. He couldn't pass block. He was too slow, and I never thought he would kind of build himself back up to what he wanted to be. But I mean, dude, these last couple of years, he's been pretty much unstoppable. He's done real well in adapting, especially in a offense where we had a quarterback that could run the ball all the time, and then we couldn't run the ball, so he had to pass block. He's done real well with that. I think Ty Simpson's going to be a steal for anybody who gets him. Don't care. I think Ty Simpson's a steal. Whoever gets their hands on him, he's already NFL ready. I will say this, and I have a bold prediction for a bust when it comes to the draft and when it comes to the NFL. I firmly believe that Fernando Mendoza is a bust. Okay, and I do not think it's because he's bad or it's because he, doesn't play well. I just think that he's not going to be able to be in a system that would benefit his play style. And I think if the Raiders get him, I think his career might start heading downhill right there. So, just a little couple of combine takes. Love watching the combine. Love the skill section the most. I love watching the dashes and everything like that. And I think it'll all come together. But there's a couple of guys I got my eye on. There's one receiver. God, I can't remember his name. He's out of Liberty. And he looks like he is an absolute freak. I saw a video of him today running a 40-yard dash, and like he was on the 4.4 range, low 4.4, and he's a big old dude too. Anyway, just things like that, man. Come on to Brant's Breaking Point. We'll discuss a little bit more.
All right. You yield your time there, Brant?
Mm-hmm.
All righty. Well, I mean, I can only give you a couple of points. You only brought up a couple of players. I like the Proctor on the rise, and I like the bold. You know what? I like the Mendoza bold prediction so much. I'm going to give you 2 points for that one. So you got 3 that round. And if anybody's keeping score at home, Brant just pulled ahead 10-8. All right, Bo, your time starts now.
Well, first of all, any quarterback that goes to the Raiders, the Browns, the Jets, you already know ahead of time that they're going to be shipped off somewhere else. You already know it's not going to work. There's just some organizations that they continue to pick at the top of the draft, and there's a reason why they continue to pick in the top 5, top 10 continuously, because they're just bad organizations. Terrible. Does not matter. But a couple of guys I really liked, and especially watching Senior Bowl. My big thing with Senior Bowl, I would come home at nights and watch the practices, and I love watching the one-on-one drills. The first place I'm going to start is with the Big Uglies. There was an offensive lineman, and I hope I can get his name right. His name was Max Hiniachor from Arizona State. He played right tackle. Here was a guy who didn't even play football until he was 21 years of old. Until 2021, excuse me. He was a basketball soccer player, did not play football until the year 2021. And here he is. He went to East LA East LA Junior College, and here he is. He's they say he had one of the best Senior Bowls of anybody there. Garrett Nussmeier, a guy that people have forgotten about it because Brian Kelly did such a piss poor job with Nussmeier. In my opinion, he's the most ready-made NFL quarterback, throwing the ball down the field, throwing the ball in between the numbers. And like you're saying about Ty Simpson, whoever gets him is going to be a steal. I think those.
Oh, this may be some minus points here. Are you back? Am I going to have some minus points?
For what?
Well, you logged off and came back.
I did not log off. Some kind of connectivity issue. All right. Anyway, so but you have to be able to throw the ball down the middle of the field. I think Nussmeier is one of the best at doing that. The tailback from Arkansas, Washington, 6'2", 220, running like legit 4.4.
Yeah, you're done. You have to check that connectivity, man. I love your point with the Browns, the Jets, and the Raiders. 100% correct. If there's 3 teams that pick in the top 5 every year, I mean, you get mad all you want. I mean, we all play by the same rules here on the 4th and 31 podcast, you know. But I did like your take on the Browns, Jets, Raiders. Like I said, there's a reason those teams pick in the top 5 or 10 every year because they're probably 3 of the most poorly run franchises in all of sports. And then your point about the guy that you couldn't pronounce, that I don't even know how to pronounce his name, so I ain't even gonna dock you for that. Didn't play until he was 2021. That's a great story. You know, sometimes there's guys who just don't pick up on the game until late, and then they come out here and they do extremely well with football. And I like that point. You know, with you cutting off, man, we got to get you some better internet connection. All right, so that's 2. I know it's a tough, man. Look, I'm the one that's got to score y'all. This hurts me more than it hurts y'all. You remember? Did y'all ever get that when you were growing up? This is gonna hurt me more than it hurts you. I understand how a dad
I was
feels.
sabotaged.
No, you weren't. And how many? You know what? You get one that one, buddy. You know the rules. You do not unmute yourself. So now you're just screwing yourself out of points. So if you want to take another point off, go ahead and unmute yourself, big boy. I mean, be the first one to have negative. All right. Now that we got that out of the way. What? I'm sorry. I can't hear you. Okay. That's what I thought. Okay. So we'll move on to the next one. Bo, you'll get the first crack at this. With Chambliss getting an extra year of eligibility, how does this affect Deuce Knight? Will he stay and compete or look elsewhere after spring camp? I really like this one now, only because of these rumors that Golding promised the job to Deuce, which I don't think is. I hope he didn't. I mean, nobody's got to be that stupid, but it's a fun talking point. And what a story if he did. All right, Bo, your time starts now.
First of all, if he did promise him the starting job, that's like coaching error, like 101. You never promise a player anything, because if it doesn't work out, then all he's going to say is you lied, and then it's going to get in the locker room. And apparently they already had enough locker room issues this offseason with the incoming players getting more NIL money than the guys that were already there. So as far as that dynamic goes, I mean, they could just be continuing to pour gasoline on the fire. As far as Trinidad Chambliss goes, I would like to say that would make them a leading candidate in the SEC, but I'm not I don't know about the offensive coordinator, the head coach. Golding did some really dumb stuff in that playoff especially in the Miami game, that really cost him as far as I was concerned, as far as the rushing 3 and 4 on that last drive, not taking any chances. So I don't know what that dynamic is going to look like, but I can tell you this: if Deuce Knight thinks he's about to beat out Trinidad Chambliss, he's got another thing coming. Ain't no way. Trinidad Chambliss, when he comes out next year, will be a top 5 pick. Period. And anybody that can't see that, let's just hope for his sake he doesn't go to the Jets or Browns or Raiders. But there's basically a window in May that players can just opt out. They can just leave school, unenroll, and then go enroll somewhere else. So, guys, the portal may be closed, but players can still leave. So that's going to throw a whole nother dynamic into this thing if it spirals out of control. If Golding doesn't handle it properly, Deuce Knight's going to be gone. There's no way he starts over Trinidad Chambliss. But remember that in May, these players can leave. They can just.
Ooh, I think Bo's about to leave if I mute him again. I gave you 3. I like the point that you brought about, with this dynamic, with locker room issues. That is 100% could happen, especially, he may have thought that Chambliss wasn't coming back. The other point with really wasn't part of the question, but the Golding mess ups in the bowl game. And then, just with Deuce Knight with the portal, who he could leave. I personally, I think he ends up leaving. I don't see why he would stay. But I gave you 3 for that one. All right. Brant Feinbaum. Your time starts now.
So I think if you're Deuce, I think you can look at this as, 2 different ways. And I think this is the similar problem that Alabama's going to run into with Austin and Keelan. And I think you can take it as a learning experience, and you can sit back and let Trinidad come back and ball out for his last year and, and kind of take the reins after he leaves and learn from him and, kind of study him. Because he's been from the bottom up. So, there's really nowhere better to look at than Trinidad when it comes to learning experience. Or you can do what a lot of players would do, which is pack your shit and get out. And truth be told, guys, Deuce Knight is a great player. We saw what he did in that start he had. It's not like this guy's a scrub. This guy can play football. So I think you're more so worried at that point. If you're an Ole Miss fan, you're worried about your future because nobody even do you know who Ole Miss's third string quarterback is? Chad?
I don't think anybody does.
Exactly. So you start worrying about your future at that point. But I think Pete Golding is concerned just as much as we are. I think he realizes that he probably wasn't expecting Trinidad to come back either. The shock happens. The NCAA screws up again. Shocker. He gets another year. Trinidad comes back, and now he's shit out of luck. He's got 2 damn good quarterbacks, and one of them is probably going to leave when the portal or May when spring ball is over. As far as Deuce comes, Deuce is going to be okay. I don't want anybody to think this is going to hurt Deuce Knight's career as a quarterback in college. Deuce Knight will be just fine. It's the probability of him finding somewhere that's going to cater to his talent level and his ability to run the football as much as Ole Miss probably is, or would. And and that's just kind of one thing you got to worry about with those guys is those guys are so system specific. When it comes to finding one that works, man, they want to stick with it. And I'm sure Deuce Knight probably felt like he had the talent and talent inside of himself and talent around him to be able to function at Ole Miss. And now he probably feels like he got kind of stabbed in the back. And if the job was promised to him, that's shitty coaching 101. Don't do.
Yep, you're muted. 3 good points. I like the point about the future because when you have a situation like that, if one goes, you're screwed. Especially if Knight loses because he's got more years of eligibility than Chambliss does. Your point about the NCAA screwing up and letting them come back, I think that's a valid point. This whole thing could have been avoided if the NCAA would grow a set and do the right thing. And the flip side to him maybe leaving to stay in is I liked your point about Ole Miss catering to his talent. I think that would be a huge point of him not leaving. So 3 for you on that one. And we are down to our last one, Brant, and you get to go first. I will tally up the scores real quick. Bo, you have 12. Brant, you have 13. So it's 13-12. Could be tied, but, Bo's got the trigger fingers. All right, last one. Is there a rule in college football that you would like to change or add to? Brant. You go last on the last one. Your time's going to start now.
So I don't know if it's really so much of a change, is more of a clarification. I feel like targeting's got to be fixed, and it's not because it's just not blatant enough or whatever. I just feel like there's so many instances on where targeting is messed up. I mean, if I'm flying, I mean, and y'all been athletes, if you're running full speed and somebody slides a foot before you get to them, you can't just stop. I mean, that's not how physics work. That's not how bodies work. That's not going to happen. You'll end up running into them and you'll hit them a little bit with your helmet, bam, targeting, you're gone. I think targeting has got to be figured out. But I'll tell you what I do want. I want the NFL pass interference rule in college. I think the fact that these kids can just pass interference on a ball they know they fucked up on that's going to be a touchdown and only take a 15-yard penalty instead of being on the 10-yard line where they did it at, I think that's a big problem. And I think it's a cop-out, and I think we're letting too many kids do it, and I think it's got to be fixed as well. But when it comes to just straight-up rules, I mean, I think the coin toss should be taken away. Personally, I think a coin toss is stupid before the game. Now, look, here's my point. I'm gonna give you what I would do. Okay, I think both coaches got a fist fight at the 50-yard line. Whoever wins, bam, they get the ball. That's what I'm saying. Look, it would add a lot of character into the game. I'd be into it. You know what I'm saying? And then also for Vegas could make it happen. Then it adds another betting point in. I'm just saying, Nick Saban lines up across from Dabo. I mean, it might be Nick Saban minus 150 in Vegas. That's all I'm saying. I think that would be a great addition to the game. I yield the rest of my time.
Okay. Well, oh, wow. All right. I love your targeting. I love the NFL pass interference. The fist fight, I love the suggestion, even though it's tongue in cheek. I'll allow it. I'll give you 3 for that. So you were sitting at 16. Bo, you better have a good answer or at least make me laugh and keep your finger off the damn mute button. Your time starts now.
Okay, the one thing I would change is I'm going to go different. I'm going to go off the field is players getting paid, because it has set off a chain of events and has spilled over into so many realms of college sports, not only affecting lower tier sports, but also affecting those sports that are trying to operate, and not only the schools. There have been a lot of schools that have lost a lot of state and federal funding over the years for various reasons. And then now all of a sudden they have all these added revenue costs. And let me give you some examples. UCLA has lost $70 million the last 2 years. Okay, they've lost $200+ million over the course of the last 5. That's all athletics driven. Rutgers is hemorrhaging money so bad that people aren't even. I mean, the donations to the school have been like cut in half, just about cut in half. Michigan is operating on a $250 million deficit. Ohio State made $337 million last year, and they had nearly a $30 million deficit at the end of the year. This system is totally untenable. It is going to totally implode college football. And also, if you don't have the financial incentive, players are not just going to jump in the portal and be willing to transfer like they are. Now, there are some schools that are doing okay with the money. Like I was looking at Alabama. I think their financials last year, they finished $30 million in a surplus. Texas had $167 million surplus. Florida broke even for the first time in 4 years. But for the most part, these schools are hemorrhaging so much money now. The model is totally unsustainable. These schools are losing hundreds of millions. Florida State is $400 million.
Time's up. Woo. Okay, so you went different than what I thought you were going to go. I like the off the field, the paying players. That's a great point. The losing funding, all that is crazy. The amount of funding being lost. And then your point about the players jumping, if the money ain't there, the money ain't there, they're going to lose them. So 3 points for you. And if my Davidson math, that means Brant gets back off the schneid 16-15. And Brant, you get your however long you want to discuss whatever you want. Sir, go ahead.
Matt, first of all, I just want to thank everybody for allowing me to partake in this wonderful event that we have every Tuesday, just one time this Wednesday. Number one. Number two, I just want to stand by my point of the fist fighting thing. Look, I just think that would be cool. That's all I'm saying. I mean, it'll
This
never.
is the hill.
Look,
This is the hill you want to die on.
Look, I'm just saying it would be fun to watch, dude. Imagine.
-2, Bo
Look,
wins.
look. Everybody, just stick with me for 1 second, okay? Everybody, stick with me. Are you ready for this? Bo, stop looking at your TV. Pay attention. All right, listen to this. Listen to this. You're in. It's a night game, right? 6:30 p.m. Jordan Hare Stadium. Place is rocking. All I know is you got Alex Golish walking the 50-yard line on one side, and you got Kalen DeBoer walking the 50-yard line on the other side. Could you imagine if they just started swinging? I mean, that place would be rocking. Y'all have watched hockey, okay? Y'all seen how crazy people get at those things. I mean, I'm just saying, I think that would add a huge benefactor for fans to the game. Obviously, it'll never happen, and I hope that Kalen DeBoer never sees this or anybody else, but I'm just letting you know, I think that would be fun, and I think that'd be cool. Now, back to the sports stuff. I think that obviously any opportunity I get to tell you how shitty of a job the NCAA is doing, I'm going to do it. And I want people to realize that they're ruining the sport. I mean, it is, first of all, it's basically already ruined. I mean, we're pretty much 98% of the way there. And I think we are that 2% from a breaking point to where it really just topples over. And I mean, and the whole country kind of gets ruined by it because everybody loves college football. You can cheer for the Celtics one day and, you know, you got people that cheer for the Yankees, you cheer for different sports. But when it comes to college football, that is a nationwide event that everybody likes. Everybody can get behind a college football team. That's why foreigners can travel here from Britain and go to games and fall in love with the game of college football. You know, and I mean, that's why you have foreigners, Australians that come and they play college football and they fall in love with it. I mean, it's a nationwide game, yes, but it affects so many people worldwide that I don't think y'all are realizing what the NCAA is doing to the sport of college football because at the end of the day, I mean, it's getting ruined, and I don't know what we need to do. I don't know if I need to donate $1 a day, like you know that we used to have the little commercials, to help fix it. But I mean, I'll start doing it, and if we have to like topple the NCAA out and rebuild something new, I will help with that, just so they can stop ruining the sport. And I will put Coach Bo at the head of the committee. That is all I've got to say.
All right. Well, I'm going to unmute Bo because I want to say something real quick, and then I kind of want to counterpoint on this. So, Bo, he's basically trying to turn college football into NFL blitz, in a way.
Not in a way. I mean, that's like 100%.
Yeah, with the fighting and stuff.
It's like that movie Basketball where you combine two sports. We're gonna combine MMA and football. We'll combine two sports here and just let them go, right?
Yeah, hey, I mean, I guess whatever sells tickets, I'll let you, you got anything before we sign off there, Bo? Real quick.
It sounds to me like Brant's trying to set up like a UNICEF for college football. And, and it's so sad it's come to that because, I mean, well, the point, just to finish the point I was making is like Florida State's $400 million in the hole. I mean, they're never going to recoup that. It's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then what? See, when all this crap started, nobody said, and then what? They just said, pay players, pay them now, pay them. And then what? And this is what you're left with. And, you know, it really, some of these people in the national media, and I kind of alluded to this on another question earlier about how they drive points for conferences. They're shilling for conferences. I mean, the SEC has them, the Big Ten has them, Big 12 have them. They all have them. But, you know, I got to sit there and listen to Joel Klatt talk about the SEC basically as a dinosaur and Bama's brand's done. I got to listen to Colin Cowherd tell me how much money that the Big Ten has. There's so much money. There's so much money. And then I go start doing some snooping, and I'm looking at the deficits that these Big Ten, especially, and I know SEC schools are doing it too. I mean, it's not just exclusively. I just took 3 schools in the Big Ten and 3 schools in the SEC, and I mean, you got, you know, the 3 Big Ten schools I looked up were, about 350 million in the hole after last year, just after one season, I just don't see how you can look at that and say that, these schools have so much money and this is a viable product or a viable system that we have, because it's not. It's clearly not. Again, it's Fugazi. It's all of this stuff. It's Fugazi, however you want to say it, and it's going to blow up at a certain point. Don't know when, but it will. And then Coach Bo's going to be sitting here saying the exact same thing. I'm not going to be the guy. I'm not going to be the guy to say I told you so, because I'm telling you right now it's going to happen. And you'll just know that you were out on the cutting edge of college football because you were listening to this show and you heard it here long before it happened. And especially some of these Big Ten schools that are hemorrhaging. I mean, like I said, UCLA, over 200 million they've lost in the last 5 years. I just don't know how much longer that is sustainable before they just go enough. And that's with all of the money coming in. I mean, their revenue sharing that they get in the Big Ten, each school gets 60 million. By the way, every school in the SEC gets 72 million. So, I mean, for the Big Ten to have more cash, I mean, the SEC not only brought in over $1 billion last year in revenue, and the Big Ten was about, I think, 930 million. And the SEC schools get a bigger cut of revenue. I really don't see the point he's making. But again, he's doing the push for the big noon kickoff, because nobody wants to miss Minnesota and Rutgers at 11 o'clock on a Saturday morning.
Hey, perfect point. Hey, two things before we go. One, when you're watching it this morning, when you're watching this episode of Rivals this morning, hit the like button. And if you want to leave a comment, leave it in the comment sections on YouTube. You don't have to text Scott every time you want to talk. Do it on the YouTube, because the boss is, what'd you say the boss was, Bo?
He's snapping necks and cashing checks, brother. He don't have time to deal with that. The man's got a lot. He got a lot of irons in the fire, so to speak.
So give us a like on YouTube. Leave us a comment. Help us grow y'all's community. We love hearing from you. And that'll do it for this week of Rivals. For the Coach Bo and for the Brant Feinbaum, I am the Chad Bullock. We will see you next time.